Hello, everyone. Welcome to Poets of Two Shores, a poetic bridge across the Hudson River. I am Melissa Joplin Higley, the Poet Laureate of Mamaroneck, New York, and with me is my co-founder, co-curator. Where is he? Raise your hand. Oh, he's back. Somewhere is Juan Pablo Mobili, who is the Poet Laureate of Rockland County. Back in February, Juan invited me to start a reading series with him with this idea of bridging the Hudson River, so bringing the poetic communities from each side of the river together. And so we have 4 readings on this side, and we hope to have a total of 4 on the other side throughout this year. So we hope that you will join us for more of our readings. We're on Facebook under Poets of Two Shores, and we also have a YouTube channel where we post the readings in case you miss one, and then you can go back and watch it. So as I said, we are hoping to have a total of 8 readings. We have 7 right now with 4 different readers at each reading, so serving 28 local poets, which is pretty fantastic. Our format this afternoon is a 1-hour reading, so each reader will have about 12 minutes. We'll hear from 4 readers today in the order of Ellen Devlin, Kirsten Meehan, Terrie, Elaine, Joplin, and Mike Jurkovic. After that, we will have a 30-minute Q&A moderated with the readers and yourselves, and we hope you have some lively questions for them. It's usually an interesting forum. Now I would like to introduce our first reader, Ellen Devlin. She is the author of 2 chapbooks, Rita and Heavenly Bodies at the Met, both published by Serena Barba Press. A full-length collection, The Light of Small Ones Blinking, was published by Broadstone Books in 2025. Her recent work has appeared in the Coachella Review, the Amethyst Review, Mom Egg Review, Rock Paper Poem, Beyond Words, the Westchester Review, and Thimble, among others. She lives in Irvington, New York, with her husband, Charles. Please welcome Ellen.
Thanks to everyone here for your time and your attention. I'd also like to thank the founders of this series for inviting me, and to Briarcliff Manor Library for hosting. I'm going to read from my full length called The Light of Small Ones Blinking. Oh boy, I'd love to start with the title poem, but I pulled the paper out, so maybe I'll find it, maybe I won't, but we'll begin. In a green veil folded, hollowed by the smallest loss, in a forest upturned by hooves, borrowed shine will blink beeswax light into your body. This is how it happens. A votive that doesn't know it's a prayer will ache its way into your throat, where fawns hide. Your eyes will blossom, your bones will branch. You will be the sweet sponge moss, the click of silver beetles. Outdoor telephone booths for anyone who's as old as me. They stood on street corners like frisky invitations, glass walls, appended coffins, aluminum bands around the middle like arms and elbows, like hands on a hip. Like staring, there was always a closed filling station with a big empty lot behind it. When you closed the booth door, a light went on, spotlighted you, made you snap your body that was just tired into alert animal. Guys banged on the door, laughed when you jumped, harmless, silly, but it was a reminder that you are prey. Another oldie, Singer Sewing Machine, 1949. The tailor's wife sat in the window, one hand on the black steel wheel, her chest and head rocking with the treadle. She never looked up or out at the street, even when we leaned arms and elbows on the wide red window ledge. A cigarette hung from her lower lip, a stream of white smoke closing her right eye, a tiny shovel of her touching fingers, almost under the piston of needle called shuttle nose, wasp waist. She pushed between presser foot and throat plate, dark walls. This one is called Nora, the 40th year after graduation from college. I just had my 50th, but Nora's took place quite a long time ago. And you'll recognize some of her life as a time that's gone by, fortunately for women. It's called, and this is taken from the notes that she gave on that day. Nora, the 40th year after graduation. Call me never mind and nothing in particular. I married Edward and visited myself infrequently. River Edge, New Jersey was a son, a daughter, a death, a job in payroll and accounting. A ladder-backed chair measured spaces thick with my feathered spine. We still play bridge, take car trips, petition God at the whole Church of the Holy Trinity. In that sparing light, my wings spread and sweep the walls, knock all the small lamps to the floor. This one was hard to write, but I'm glad I did. I called this one my mothering. Here is the sound of a light-splintered lantern. Here is a smoke-choked mountain, a moan of truck tires on a bridge. Here is the no sound of an empty saucer. Here is the question in overheard, ache in the never heard, jar of raspberry preserves with a spoon resting inside. Here is the taste of a penny on the tongue, electric, lingering. Here is the smooth stone in my palm, your baby weight in my arms. Here is the blue of blues, the carrier oils, blistered shingles of old houses. This one's called Coma. In a bed with a machine that bleeds her, I put a statue on the window ledge of St. Teresa, her favorite. Teresa's blue eyes looking up, my mother's brown eyes, milky and moving, directionless. When her mother died so cleanly, one heart attack, she went to tell her she was folding sheets. And drawing lesson. I learned to draw from Nagy on television, and I never stopped loving to draw or paint. It was just blew my head off when I first took that. This one's called Drawing Lesson. A charcoal line is a tree. A road appears and moves away, narrowing by my fingers smudging the charcoal. The living room rug rises, the windows fly up and push out the roof. All the shingles flap astonished. This is called Schrading, Germany. I visited there in 2023. Plump pigeons on cobblestones, teal-throated, fuchsia-breasted, inspecting us. Everywhere were ivy pastel houses. I would move there for the quiet streams, the cafe where we made seasoned salt with mortar and pestle. Then this, a tin poster of head cages, iron collars, and spikes pressed into the necks of offending wives, led by ropes cinched by the waist by husbands throughout the Middle Ages. Do I have time?
Yeah, you do a couple more.
Do I have, if I could just find I'll look in the contents and see if I can find one. Oh, real quick. The Chelsea Market Floor, yay. This is where I got the title, and it's page 35. Thank you for your patience. Chelsea Market Floor. Of narrow brown blackboards, round dry puddles, skinny slashes, rubbed raw with brown-black paint. Turned to obsidian about the once factory floor, worn down by the rub of thick-soled boots. Ghosts at the edge of place. Now sneakers tread, the light of small ones blinking. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. Thanks for such a great evening. And I'm glad you found that poem.
Thank you.
It was worth waiting for. Great. So our next poet is Kirsten Meehan. And I want to tell you a little bit about Kirsten. She's a poet and storyteller who was born and raised in Rockland County, growing up in the same house her father grew up in. I'm sure you have a couple of poems. She received her BFA in creative writing from SUNY Boston and an MA in English and MFA in writing from Arcadia University. She works as a writer and editor at a local lifestyle magazine. Here's Kirsten.
20. The fluorescent lights wash everything into a fifth-time photocopy of itself. Their humming pierces my cerebellum with dizzy dentist drill intensity. It's always frigid in this type of grocery store. Bundle up, overcoat cold, preserving me like something dead and made of meat. Shivering, I can almost forget the steaming sidewalk, the puddle mirages on black asphalt, the cracked dirt of my mother's garden. I wander past the vegetables, wet with sprinkler mist, fresh from fields in places I don't know the names of, touched by thousands of people I will never meet. Then the grain aisle with all its impersonal boxes, thousands of meals with no one in mind. I've dipped my hands into rice before, though I've never planted it. This is some animal child memory of the grains falling through my tiny fingers and back into the jar. Tactile pressure, each press a hand grasping back. Before me now, a ziggurat, bags of rice, gallons of rice, pounds and pounds of rice. My hands unconsciously seeking touch uniform plastic. Not thousands of grains, but one smooth, cohesive unit, measured, price sticker on top. In my mind, I tear open every bag, sink my nails into the plastic and pull, let every grain claim the sound it would make against the linoleum as I flood the aisle with rice. Let the rice stampede and break open the automatic door. Let all that heat rush inside like water in a paddy field, like neighbors to a table. I'm Kirsten. I'm so happy to be here today, and I was very honored to be invited. With all of these incredibly accomplished and talented poets, I am, as I mentioned to Melissa, as I came in at kind of a different part of my journey than a lot of the other readers today. I suppose you called me an emerging poet, which I think sometimes is a very kind way of saying that I'm having difficulties getting published. I'm very happy to be here today, and this next poem is called Changeling. I crouch in the forest and craft myself a body from the dead leaves that blanket the ground. Their kindling roughness, their sweet rot into soil, all their dryness or dampness crumbling in my hands as I roll them into bundles, stuff them beneath my skin until I begin to approximate the correct shape. I lash myself closed with lengths of crossvine as I don't have a needle for stitches. Sometimes, if I'm not careful, my skin begins to scab away to wood chips. I wake up with bark and bits of wilting leaves littering my pale blue pillowcase. My shadow and my outline blur together if I stand still for too long. It is a constant process, keeping this body together, making it grow the way it should grow. In the vegetal humidity of my bathroom after a shower, I forget all the ways mud and grout differ, all the ways rock is not brick, inside is not outside. My hair like mud-drenched reeds, dark and dripping, carrying leaves downstream. I was born blonde. Fogged mirror shows me river rock eyes. I worry one day they will all realize I have never belonged in this house. There's the house. I guess I'm kind of messing with my own order here. I brought two poems today that are from a series I'm working on, kind of a project I'm in the middle of, where I'm visiting abandoned places around the Hudson Valley and beyond and doing kind of ekphrastic responses to them. And I'm getting a lot out of that. So I'm going to read two of those and then see how much time I have and then go from there. This first one's called The Abandoned Glass Factory. See, the skylight is empty. It collapsed itself into eternal hail years ago, blanketed the ground with chiming. Now the sky spills through it as through a drain at the bottom of a reservoir that never dries. It flows over a million glittering shards, collects the light, throws it back. Beside it grows stubborn witchgrass as unsoft as its neighbor. Then the unfurled head of a violet, petals untouched by all those angles. A foraging rabbit summons the crunch of ice and the memory of wind chimes, a delicate single-note song. Ivory chokes the unmoving conveyor belt. The rust peels to the ground in layers, and in the deep, dark belly of the dead furnace, a noise, no longer filled with transforming fire. A dozen newborn mice squirm in a breathing pile, blind, squeaking to the new forged dark. And this is called Tweed Tunnels in Blauvelt, New York. Has anyone ever been to the Tweed Tunnels? So they're like, if you go to Blauvelt State Park, it's not a very long hike to get there, but they were a sort of training facility and training grounds for soldiers in World War I. And now if you visit them, they've kind of become this open air graffiti gallery for like murals. It's kind of a cool place. So that's kind of the background you need for this. Tweed Tunnels, Blauvelt, New York. Color lives here like the last century on the front. Pressed against the corner, it peers. The cover of a crumbling concrete hedge, child behind a too thin tree. Turn the corner and it confronts you. A knife to the heart, riot of reds and oranges. Biting caricature raises his fist before the plunge into darkness, waiting catacombs with no bodies to fill it, shipped overseas a century ago. Climb on top and follow the sprawl of art unsigned. Cueva de las manos, pressed hands, we are here. Open air diary of people gathered like the ghosts of fingers on triggers, replaced with paint valves instead. The faraway scream of hawks and trains, a spider on the graffiti, strange geometry, purple and blue, a faceless mannequin still grins. After the war, we will make this place beautiful, say the spray paint cans discarded like bullet casings among dead leaves. Now, you can see I've just messed my papers up. That's okay. Yeah, I guess I'll do this one and then I'll finish up. This is called Ova. In Alien, John Hurt's chest blooms outward. otherworldly flower cracking, blood, and a snarling little mouth. His sternum is a calcium shell surrendering to egg teeth. When he dies at the end of that scene, he does so staring down at the monstrosity from inside his body. At 10, I take a pair of scissors to a beanie baby rabbit, pink and soft. Feeling roundness under the polyester, I am pulled by some compulsion to see them in the open air, as if the truth of them has somehow been kept from me. They pour from the incision, pale and opaque, cloudy and plastic, skittering and round. Without them, the fabric shell deflates. Not long after, I learned that a human female is born with nearly 1 million ovum nestled between her hips. Tripping toddler already housing the potential of generations. Mitochondrial mother, all that sticky, constant weight dragging down. I can't help but think of a fillet knife slicing neatly somewhere beneath my stomach. Listen to the clatter as marbles pour out, dripping dark and round as caviar, as horrific as breaking a promise I never knew I made. And I'll finish it up, I guess, with this one, because it's Pride Month. And I like reading this one for audiences. It's fun. And it's called Excerpts from Discarded Coming Out Poems. 1. I hand you a bowl and ask, what is this filled with? You say, it is empty. No, I respond, it is filled with nothing. I repeat this until my tongue turns to stone. 2. Yeah, well, no one understands dark matter either, but good luck telling a physicist it doesn't exist. 3. How many saints faced down marriage beds and said, I am God's, to be met with nunneries or stonings, miracles or martyrdom? I wrap my fingers around the same question and answer, I am my own, and wonder why I am still presented with the same damnable options in different dresses. 4. A breathing creature is more than its hunger. 5. I have spent years begging my own language for a way to talk about lack without defining it as lack. I know this difference like a spear through the chest. I have never been able to say it. 6. Don't talk like you know the animal of my body. I have always lived in this odd, aching house, scrubbing the floors, working my fingers bloody to call it sacred. With all its ticks, all its strange appetites, I am the one who tucks it, blessedly breathing into bed. 7. It's all right. I have never needed your help. I know how to call myself lack without naming it lacking. I know how to say empty and mean it like lightness. I can name it on my own. Thank you.
Thank you, Kirsten. That was wonderful. Wonderful to hear your words for the first time. Next, we have someone close to my heart, my mom, Terrie, Elaine, Joplin. Right here. Yes, yes. Terrie taught English in public schools in Washington, Illinois, and North Carolina, and holds an MS in education and a national board certification. Her poems appear in Doors Ajar, MER Online Folio, One Art, Swim Every Day, the Westchester Review, the anthology Recovering Greenness, and elsewhere. Terrie and her husband reside with their multi-generational family and 4 tuxedo cats in Mamaroneck, New York. She enjoys gardening, painting, and road trips to geographical wonders. Let's welcome Terrie.
That was closer than I thought it was. I am delighted to be here, and it's lovely to see so many of you here. I want to thank Juan and Melissa for organizing this event and for having Mike, Kirsten, Elaine, and me lead. This poem is about my early years in teaching. The rowers. Onto the pond, the hawk dropped, its flight impeded by two crows whose wheeling assault bombed the juvenile low and lower each time over the water until it fell in the middle, as if from the crow's beak a stone let go. Belly wet, tail down, wingtips in the water, the hawk ground its elbows up and slowly oared itself to shore. I heralded its victory, the thread of sun to dry its fingers, the moment to preen its chest and close its panting beak. Now the pond is quiet from where I sit on my deck, my mind lit with the grocery store's flickering fluorescent tubes of 2 decades ago. Me handing the cashier my food stamps. You're the new teacher, aren't you? Don't you get a salary? She asked, ringing up the tomato sauce, apples, Kool-Aid, hamburger, powdered milk, chicken necks to boil for the pot pie, and the large Hershey bar whose first row would alphabetize myself after I put the kids to bed and began grading papers. 1/3 to pay the rent, 1/3 for childcare, and 1/3 to divide miraculously for everything else, till I scrabbled to the shore of another month's paycheck. I grew up in Washington State, where our beaches were ground rock instead of shell, and it's about 2,996 miles from where I live in Mamaroneck. Oh, to my beach. Perhaps because I loved you well, you showed me how to leave you in your even while I was fully there, in your perfect balance of peril and protection, tied in, tied out, river wide, Pacific glimpse, Lewis and Clark's trails end, whether wild or sweet, hair sodden or tame, sitting in my teacup of gray sand, rimmed by waves and driftwood, water lapping at my feet. The horseshoe dike loomed close by, ringing fishing boats stabled safe, its algae-slicked stones drawing us sisters to jump there, slippery slides, mostly fun. Near my spot, massive logs rose jumbled like a giant's pickup sticks, escapees from Weyerhaeuser's rafts. The gaps, rooms in our castle games. A mile south, the coast curves into a dragon's head, bristling with fir trees, claws releasing 3 white ferry boats at intervals to cross 4 miles to the spruce green coastline before me, hiding gifts, Easter dresses, Woolworth's movie star nail polishes, a drift of gems ground for me, you trail hourglass time, me rising like a vapor, eyes clear and strong, above and with you, then finally beyond. This poem stems from my cataclysmic first marriage. I've been happily married for 54 years to that gentleman now. It's a golden shovel, which means I took a line from another poem and used its words as my end words. And it's from Carolyn Kaiser's This Game. Hour last night. I couldn't bear to cry. Not the seeping tears, but oh, the tsunamic sobs tearing the esophagus. The remnants of love after the heartbreak. The eruption, the long high desert of hope gone. Curled blooms killed by the salt it left on the bed, kitchen counter, sofa. Is my twisted, swollen face raining still? The siege has passed in that blackest of nights when our marriage fled that encrusted room. Could I have? Thank you. Thank you. I lived in many areas of Washington State and Illinois and North Carolina, and often in the Midwest and the West, I lived in rural areas. Farmhand wives. What could we do, we girls of the roads that girdled our years, tied us to the rails of soybeans and corn, and scattered grit like bones over our scarred tables? What could she do, this girl of the square mile grid, slow prairie walking asphalt miles, but come to me to drink her 2 cups of coffee with coffee mate? Watch my kids play on the rug, pluck with a trembling finger unfiltered bits of palm malts from her tongue. Ask me to copy again a recipe for glorified rice, and then hand me her bedroom key, saying of her 3 boys under 6, they just wouldn't stop crying. So I closed the door and locked it. Sometimes it takes a specific action to change one's life. You can have thoughts about doing it, you can make hypothetical plans about doing it, and then there's an event, and that becomes the catalyst. This is in a form called a duplex. It has 14 lines like a sonnet, and it has repetitions that you'll hear. Dance improvisation. I took a step forward to hold your hand. You never slapped. You never slapped me like my mother did. Scarlet slap, sharp like the plaster imprints I made for Mother's Day in 2nd grade. No Mother's Day tokens or birthday sweets from you, but once a pack of menthol Kents. A surprise, those Kents. You noticing my choice? But hollow rang the kitchen. Hollow rang my belly. Belly full of child. Another job you lost. Drinking beer all day. Lost in another bar. Me lost in the dark. Baby mining my spine. You shoved me to the wall, spine striking. You lunged me, twisting from your hands, stepping away, gone. This is a happy one. It's longer than the others. I was wonderfully privileged. I got to be in a sequoia forest in California. Among the sequoias on Christmas Day, rain fell and fell, drops clinging to clouds until too heavy, washing sky onto my face, washing hundreds of years onto my eyelashes and fresh lipstick, my tongue licking eagle feathers, gold dust, soot. Rain fell on my daughter, son-in-law, stroller, my grandson, on our bright rain gear, on trees of 1,000 years. Rain fell on spores of washed of walkers in that hush of ferns, our faces irresistibly tipped to the ground, searching for the tallest sequoia. But clouds knelt in the canopy, singing to the short green limbs. In the cathedral grove, I pressed my nose to the deep, spongy bark of a tree too wide for me to reach across, breathed its piney essence, heard sap move, dinosaurs tugging its ancestors' lower branches, hooves pounding on the prairies, clatter of canvas-covered wagons, hum of telegraph lines and telephones, roar of chainsaws toppling sequoias or poles. I shook with the quake of those trees falling from nearly 300 feet and 10 centuries. Trunk after trunk crashed to splinters. Half the tree for shingles, posts, the rest for matchsticks. I heard protesters shout the presidential pen, inking time and space for these trees. Rain fell on my outspread arms, my family's hands skin to skin, me to my daughter, grandson to parents, our boots spreading on roots growing to other roots of these shallow, grounded trees, sequoia to sequoia for stability. Our touchstone too, for new life brought now and 2 millennia ago. Love fresh in the rain.
Thank you, Terrie. You know, it's interesting, I don't know every time, but today, the 4 poets that are reading were people I met at readings, which is a lovely place to meet people. Better than shadier opportunities. And as a matter of fact, I met you, Ellen, because we read here about 3-4 years ago. Somewhere between 3 and 75 years ago. I was replacing someone that had an emergency, and I got a chance to know your poetry. And there I met Terrie and Melissa. See, this is the dangers of saying hello to people. Anyway, so I have the privilege to introduce our final poet, Mike Jurkovic. Did I say it right? Yep. Excellent. So a little bit about Mike. He is the 2025-2027 Ulster County Poet Laureate. His collections include Circling Plains from Bushwhack Books, this year's edition, and I believe your book is in the back, right? There are some copies. Also Backshot, Reckoning, Mooncasters, and American Mental, all 3 from Luchador Press. Then a book of haiku called Monet's Bamboo from Caps Press. I got lost. Bluefan Wearing from Nirala Press, and President Calling All Poets. He's also the co-chair of the Music Fan Film Series at Rosendale Theater in Rosendale, New York. See these reviews online at All About Jazz and lightwordpress.com. He's also currently, the host of New Jazz Excursions, Mondays, 9 to 11 a.m. at WDKR-FM 91.3 from Vassar College. But more importantly, he loves Emily most of all. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Juan. Kirsten, don't worry about being published. Just keep doing what you do. That publishing thing is way overblown. Some of these poems are new, some of them are from the book. The worst book I ever read took me years to plagiarize. So blame yourselves if it didn't sell. I attempted conflict, but you shouted me down. Time and time and time again, like the sad song of trains derailing. The worst book I ever read wasn't a book at all, but a confession by a man who no longer held the line between alliance and scorn, axis and the trackless sky. The worst book I ever read, Ship Tree, 2 for 1, after midnight on all the local channels. We all had a hand in the worst book I ever read, each hoarding horsepower, cornmeal, and coin, watching as the choppers darted the sky. In any book of Manhattan dreams, shadows slant on Crooked Street. St. Peter loiters the cashier's cage. Your rifle's only as good as your scope. The hungry open fire, not wine. This is actually based on a true story. Jim Zimmerman, who some of you might know, Jim Zimmerman, he's a poet from around here in Pleasantville. And he and I were doing a reading in Lower Manhattan. And of course, he has to take this side of the river, and I have to go on that side of the river. So we were waiting for a train. I was having a glass of wine. He goes and runs into his train, and no sooner does he leave than this woman comes right alongside me and sits down. This is the exact first sentence that she told me. They don't make Quaaludes anymore, she said, out of the blue, taking a seat. You're right, I said, recalling the rush, the warmth of sedation. They replaced it with heroin, which killed, of course, she said, and I, having attended 6 memorials and sidestepping 3, agreed with a silence that killed. What wine is that, she asked. Surely a soldier of Blue Nun, Ripple, Thunderbird, Matus. It's a Tuscany 2020, I say, hoping I sounded like I said. A glass of that, she smiled. And as the pour commenced, she asked me for a poem of place, of wine, of a man content with himself. And I, never at a loss for words, obliged. I know we have 4 poets in the room, but how many other writers are in the room? Admitted. All right, you know how you always have that slush pile of stuff that you always go back to from time to time? And maybe you steal a line and you steal a sentence, but that slush pile follows you year after year after year. This is called slush pile. You have to wonder about times like these when poems like these pop up out of nowhere and you're bereft without a party or a plot line about the one about the old Sandy sailor face to face with his lawyer's camera, or the one misplaced on the top shelf above the microwave where the tea and the tonics abide, or the one about the maiden with her toe in the fountain of feel-good bribing the stars. Yeah, that one about tangerines and marshmallows. I bet you forgot that one. Or that old one about woebegone spirits from a woebegone place who kissed each other's ass to make the world go round. So many words swearing treason, you needn't wonder why all the wounded look familiar. It's called the News from Texas. I pay her tab. I plant the bomb. I bump into Elvis in aisle 9. The news from Texas is never good. That last poem before this one was about the erosion of memory, which may sound wishy-washy, but leaves me plenty of wiggle room. Takes a moment. The roofer red knots, North America's most common subspecies, flies the equivalent of the moon and back in its Now it faces extinction as we overharvest horseshoe crabs for the terminal corpulent. Tell me again how we are not to blame for everything dying on this planet. Please, tell me again. You weren't clear the first time. If you recall, before the torpor, a pariah came to town, hustling his buffoonery, his brand, his virulence, the odious glow of his masquerade hair. They flocked to the commons to finance his garments, bear aloft his amoral flag, French kiss the ground he trod upon. But a society like this, like that, can't thrive. Yet the pariah who came to town convinced some otherwise, and here we find ourselves on the tired end of history, where liberty works the glory hole. Dark crusades manifest. Evolution shrugs her crepey shoulders. A pariah came to town. I've been daring myself to do this one for a while. It's from the new book. And it's called, it's in the shape of a high bun, which is prose, and then a haiku. And I'm going to do it now for the first time. And it's called This Stretch. I'm sure some of you take the train back and forth, so you'll know what I'm talking about. Not much about this train ride to the city and back has changed in my 64th year of cloistered commute. Hand-hewn, soul-deep, we groped for holiness, mourned lost pardons, toiled for joy. The times are more horrid, the language harsher with more expensive parking than affordable housing, a fetid bandwidth of creators and influences, barking quatrains at the moon, a sullen moon of forest stars, see the lanterns and windows shining. Another millennial, another dog. Another millennial, another dog. Another millennial, another dog. Couples fussing, drunks cussing, the whole Bronx exulting that the Manhattan prom has not sunk into the Harlem and out to sea. The sea, where morning starts east of Eden, south of Broadway and Fourth. This stretch of track, this stretch of years coincides with history, uneven high, uneven lows, and has needed regime change for a while. But it has never been a hard-held secret that every city, like its natives, holy or vile, needs reconfiguration. Well, anyway, here's my stop. So let us leave this for another day, another joyride through time, along a river of jewels beneath a ticklish sun. Small towns scooting past, that kid by the window, his eyes, his smile, so wide. That's the time.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Maybe. Yeah. This starts with a quote from Napoleon, or at least they say it's from Napoleon. I mean, were any of us there really don't. So it's supposedly Napoleon said, "What is history if not a fable agreed upon?" If I should get caught in the crossfire before finishing this poem, will you dovetail our voices together? If I should bleed out before topping off, please keep the truth we carried into the war that threatens to silence the words we use to shorten the distance between us. If it all ends before the next line, that's okay. I've gone the distance with little regret, little complaint, little in the way of stumbling blocks that have baffled so many. If it all ends before the next line, tell them I meant every word. And I'd like to close with this one. I don't know what side of the political thing anybody falls on, but I think we can all agree that there's just a lot of not right about the times that we're in. And this is called 25 decades ago. I have tired of America. Its alternate facts, its homeless, hapless homage to decay, the day-to-day dregs of empire, its poverty line, its wars, its progeny cry, its banned books, Jim Crow, Supreme Court, data centers, detention centers, Central Command, Department of War, Neanderthal rage. I have tired of America. But not its people, there in the streets calling for change, chasing that perfect union promised 25 decades ago. Thanks.